I mean, the common man is not ready for Nazi femboy, you know,
right?
Like
There's so
many
like
pro trans Nazi gay, like those exist in the Nick Fuentes space. They legitimately do.
It still blows my mind, honestly.
Yeah, it's like the whole, and then there's like, not that the ACP has so much to do with like the Nick Fuentes side of things, but that's always what it reminds me of is like MAGA communists, and then like pro trans Nick Fuentes people, and it's just like, what is happening? What do we like? What bizarro world do we live in here?
I'm like in my head originally. I'm like, all right, this has to be like a woman that is absolutely pissed off at this dude for making such horrible statements about women, and she's like, screw it. She like, you know, she popped mentally, and she's like, okay, I think I'm gonna do this, and then turns around and like, okay, the guy that they caught ended up being a right-wing guy that probably watched him, and I'm like, what is going on? And that's like me going ahead and like finding Hasanabi, or like like I'm looking for the majority report because they're not left enough. It's like, what is that doesn't make any sense, you know?
I'm kidding. That wasn't actually a threat to Sam Cedar.
No.
You're gonna have to bleep that out, guy.
Watch
I love Sam Cedar. Sam Cedar's great. Okay.
Yeah, he seems like an okay guy. I love.
Who the fuck's Sam Cedar?
Majority Report. He's the older guy.
Oh, the Majority Report guy. Yeah. No, don't wish that on him.
No, that's like the equivalent.
Before we get to the video, please like, comment, subscribe, share it to that uncle who's a communist. And if he isn't, he will be.
Don't forget to follow us on Patreon at patreon.com/revolutionary rhetoric. And Revolutionary Rhetoric is an affiliate of the Anti-Capitalist Podcast Network.
All right, let's get to the video.
Hey, welcome back, PokePreet, episode 11, I think, season 2.
Who
cares anymore? We lost count. We created a season 2, and then we lost count of the episode counts. But we're super excited to welcome back PokePreet. How you doing, bud? It's been like, I don't know, 2 months, 3 months?
I've been doing good. Yeah. It's been it hasn't been that long since I've seen you guys, but missed you anyways.
So sweet.
Missed you, boo.
Missed you, boo.
What's it called? Last time we wanted you back on because at the very end of the episode we talked about maybe talking about the Indian Communist Party.
Yeah, just like getting some more information on Indian Communist Party.
It just seemed very cool. So.
Which is super relevant because everything going on with like the politics in India, which I don't pretend to fully understand, except that Modi is kind of like a right-ish leaning guy.
He's a right-winger.
Like super right, but he's like, you know, he's a pretty right-wing guy. I don't know what the landscape is of like Indian politics as far as like how, like, has he done kind of the Trumpian thing of like not outlawing Communist Party? We'll talk about it later, but I wanted to.
Well, from what I understand of a little bit of it is just like there's like blatant Islamophobia right now in India. And I wouldn't say he's taken charge of that, but he's not doing anything to prevent it.
Sure.
So there's been people that are killed, and it's kind of complex, and it goes deep into Indian history and everything. Yeah. But it's just not a good look right now. It's not a good look, you know. But hopefully, I don't know, how much longer does the guy have?
Yeah, he's pretty old, right?
I would say he's kind of stable-ish, honestly, because the Indian economy's been doing well-ish under him. I mean, obviously it's like capitalist well, so like the GDP goes up and things like that. But it's he has a strong enough support base, honestly. I think that he can rule for a while now, unfortunately. And the second thing is like the Muslim killings. He's pretty involved with them, I would say. You know, it's plausible deniability, but he's pretty involved, pretty much. Yeah.
What is?
I believe they used to call him the Butcher of Gujarat, even
of Gujarat,
Muslims. So,
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
What is like I don't know. I'm not super familiar with like the Indian governmental like mechanisms. Is there term limits for prime minister in India? Like, is he just gonna camp out in that spot until he dies? Like, what's the legal mechanisms there?
It's a parliamentary system. The major parties are Congress Party and BJP, and I think there are term limits. I'm pretty sure, but he could. I mean, the thing is, democracy is always up in the air once these authoritarian figures get into place. Yeah, so there are term limits, but he can subvert them. I feel like honestly, he has a big.
Yeah, it's like Trump already creating 2028 merch too. Like Trump 2028 merch, like. Presumably he's going to run again, even though that's a violation of our constitution. But like,
what are you going to do?
It's only a violation if people stop him, right? The laws are just words until you enforce them, right? So
exactly. Like, it's kind of the same thing with Putin. It's like he runs, and from what I understand from their their term limits work. It's like you don't have unlimited term limits. You don't have limited term limits, but you can only do one term limit at a time or something like that. So he'd be the president, and then his vice president would be the president, and he'd go back to being the president. And but that's from what I remember reading upon it. But it just seems like he's been the president for the past 20 something years.
Putin or Modi?
Putin.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It was like 2004, 2005, something like that. Yeah, it was early 2010s.
Yeah.
And I also just looked it up. The Indian prime minister position does not have term limits. They serve 5-year terms with a general election held every 5 years. But no, so long as they hold the coalition majority, there is no term
that
limits.
shit's gonna be jerry rigged.
Yeah, I mean, it just mentions that they have to hold the coalition majority, but that's a pretty easy thing to manipulate, I guess. Yeah. Well, the biggest story of the week, and one that we were gonna record last Thursday, the 10th or whatever that would have been, 11th. Yeah, it would have been on September 11th. But I'm glad we didn't, and it's obviously Charlie Kirk's shooting death. And we were going to record like the next day or even that day, and so much has happened, and much has come out. There's been so many conspiracy theories. The what's her name, Erica Kirk speech. They caught the shooter. They got the guy.
First shooter was the guy.
First shooter was like some old hippie dude or whatever, right? Yeah, like I'm glad we didn't record, because if we had recorded that episode, it would have been just completely misinformation. Yeah, because there was so much speculation that we had no idea what was going on at the time. So anyway, the big news that story of the week is Charlie Kirk's assassination in whatever was it Provo, Utah, somewhere in Utah.
Somewhere Utah, it's all the same over there.
Imagine dying in Utah. Yeah.
Also, like in a place with a ton of military bases, FBI bases, CIA bases, but the Mormons are pretty CIA upped. I mean, I feel like they're the biggest recruits for the FBI.
The Mormons?
Yeah.
In case you didn't know.
I wasn't aware, but that makes sense.
What?
That makes total sense.
We won't drink caffeine, smoke cigarettes, but we will do a full investigation and arrest your ass.
Yeah. We will overthrow a foreign government.
That's permissible under the godly laws. But God forbid you drink a Coke with caffeine in it.
What was his name? Joseph Smith.
Mm-hmm.
Joseph Smith. Oh yeah, that guy.
Yeah. So
Smith,
so I've had to read and hear the word groiper more often in the last 3 days than I've ever wanted to in my life, which has been pretty funny.
Absolutely. Was that your first introduction?
No, I wasn't. I mean, I've known about the whole Pepe and that subsect of weird rightoids before, but I guess it was only tangentially and only kind of in passing. I had never did a deep dive on the Wikipedia page for groipers before 2 days ago or whatever it was. Yeah,
absolutely. What I love is how much Nick Fuentes has been in damage control mode, because I don't know, like every single day he would get onto his stream and he'd be like, Charlie Kirk is controlled by the Jews. He's a puppet of the Jews. He's doing the Jews agenda. And then the second Charlie Kirk passes, he's like, this is the worst tragedy ever. I do not condone this. Charlie was a good man.
Oh my God.
I know that's been what I call the funniest fallout of this whole situation is just how many people on both sides, left and right, have just been stumbling over themselves to just suck off Charlie Kirk's in the memory.
I've literally lost a friend recently because of this.
Yeah, no, same. My Facebook friends, yes, I'm still on Facebook. All the people I went to high school with, it's not okay to make fun of Charlie. It's there's still a grieving mother and children lost their father, and I'm like,
they're better off without him.
First of all, without the dude. Erica Kirk was an adult. She married a Nazi or a white nationalist, a Nazi sympathizer, whatever you want to label Charlie Kirk is. So I have no sympathy for her. She knew what she was getting into. The children no longer have a Nazi father.
Dude, that's a great fucking day. I don't know.
Yeah.
Listen, I feel bad if anybody's father's taken, but listen, when you make comments like, hey, if my 10-year-old gets I'm going to force her to have the child.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. It just almost seems like she might be better off without the dude. I mean, that's all I really got to say.
That's one aspect of this whole thing. There's just so much of this. But yeah, you bring up the whole Nick Fuentes damage control situation. It's just such a bizarre world we live in where the shooter is a right-wing guy who thought Charlie Kirk was too left-leaning. And that's the principle, or that's the basis of the assassination, which is just like a mind-blowing like
but just
clusterfuck of situation.
Because of how clusterfuck that is, people are like, dude, a conspiracy theory makes more sense.
People can't handle it, and that's why people don't understand it, because like you have to understand deep right-wing nuance of like what is a Groyper, like the schism between Charlie Kirk and Nick Fuentes, and like it doesn't make sense to the common man, right? Like this is nonsense to most people.
Still doesn't make sense.
I mean, the common man is not ready for Nazi fanboy, you know,
right?
Like something
There's
like
so
that,
many
like pro trans Nazi gay, like those exist in the Nick Fuentes space. They legitimately do.
It still blows my mind, honestly.
Yeah, it's like the whole, and then there's like not that the ACP has so much to do with like the Nick Fuentes side of things, but that's always what it reminds me of is like MAGA communists, and then like pro trans Nick Fuentes people, and it's just like, what is happening? What do we like? What bizarro world do we live in here?
I'm like in my head originally, I'm like, all right, this has to be like, some woman that is absolutely pissed off at this dude for making such horrible statements about women. And she's like, screw it. She like, she popped mentally, and she's like, okay, I think I'm going to do this. And then turns around and like, okay, the guy that they caught ended up being a right-wing guy that probably watched him. And I'm like, what is going on? And that's like me going ahead and like finding Hasanabi, or like, like I'm looking for the Majority Report because they're not left enough. It's like, what is, that doesn't make any sense, What?
I'm kidding. That wasn't actually a threat to Sam Cedar.
No.
You're gonna have to bleep that out, guy.
Watch
I love Sam Cedar. Sam Cedar's great. Okay.
Yeah, he seems like an okay guy. I love.
Who the fuck's Sam Cedar?
Majority Report. He's the older guy.
Oh, the Majority Report guy. Yeah. No, don't waste that on him.
No, that's like the equivalent of like us as like tankies coming after somebody like him who's like
he's a demsock.
He's like a progressive demsock. He's exhibited some like socialist kind of tendencies before. Yeah. Also, he's the voice of a bunch of different characters on Bob's Burgers. So I
did not know that. That's crazy.
Yeah, how could you he's the main after we lost Jimmy Pesto.
Jimmy Pesto was an October 6er.
Oh my god, I didn't know that.
Yeah, the original voice actor for Bob's Burger has lore, dude. The original Jimmy Pesto voice actor got fired because of his role. He was like a right wing October 6er.
That's crazy.
But his name's it's Hugo. It's the if you ever watch Bob's Burgers, it's the what do you call him? The health inspector. That's Sam Cedar.
Okay, yeah, I've never watched. I've heard of it all the time.
Oh, it's great, man. Check out Bob's Burgers. It's a great show. Anyway,
but that's so to me, that's like the craziest shit. This is the most wild shit. Is a crazy right winger shot another right winger. And I'm like, they're still trying to flip it and blame liberals.
They're still going to use this as a pretense to like, because they're already like invading. What is it, like Chicago and
they're threatening to. I don't think they have yet.
But like they're just going to use this as a pretense too, regardless.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's like, I don't know.
I don't. Do you guys want to go into the conspiracy theories?
The guys with the arms.
I thought that guy was just tweaking.
Yeah. I don't know, man.
For me, the two conspiracy theories.
Well, now there's a third guy that you can. There's like a new footage, and it's a third guy who doesn't even react when the shot goes off.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
Maybe
I think they're all just generic white guys. They're just generic. Yeah, just doing like normal.
He's probably just tweaking and just hit the fucking pipe.
I've been enjoying watching those guys give those like fake signals. And then the shock rings out, and I'm like, "Oh, CIA."
It might just be OCD, bro.
I don't think there's anything there. Yeah, I don't think.
No, I think the two biggest actual conspiracy theories are that maybe even have some sort of merit. Would be Israel did it.
Yeah. Well, have you seen how many times Benjamin Netanyahu has tweeted about Charlie Kirk?
Yeah, it's crazy. Or that the Trump campaign did it.
Because
the whole thing with that is they just released the actual letter that Trump sent to Epstein with the silhouette of the fucking girl or whatever, like the fifth grader letter to Epstein. And the other one is like Israel just bombed Qatar. Mm-hmm. And then they're also bombing Yemen, and there's children starving in Gaza. So maybe this is just like,
and this is all we've talked about for a week.
Exactly. So those are the only two that actually make any sense to me. Any of the fucking like, oh, this guy's touching his head and like doing that. No.
We forgot about 9/11. Like that was so crazy to me. You're literally
not a single
9/11 post on 9/11.
Not only was there not a single 9/11 post, we put our
9/11.
flags at half mast for Charlie Kirk on 9/11.
The McDonald's flag at Guantanamo Bay. At Guantanamo, like the torture center at like half mast. Like what the fuck, bro? This is his legacy. This is Western civilization. The McDonald's flag, half mast.
It's over.
It's crazy, man.
Over.
It's like it's just the most bizarro world shit we've ever been in. And this brings me back to the point of like how hard our entire media landscape and every politician and every institution has just only been talking about Charlie Kirk for a week.
Yeah.
or 5 days or whatever it's been. And like to the point where like I posted on my own personal Instagram, it was like Gavin Newsom tripping over himself to like, I hosted Charlie Kirk on my podcast. He's a lovely guy, whatever. And it's like, dude, you guys have spent years calling this man like a Nazi. Yeah. You can't have it both ways. Like
absolutely.
Either you're a Nazi sympathizer or you were lying about him being a Nazi. Like which is it?
Absolutely.
So like, yeah. And that's
the best
the
bet
part.
would have just not to say anything.
Just don't say anything. And that's actually a lot of like Congress people haven't. And I'm like, shout out to those people who like just haven't said anything.
Stupid, bro.
Yeah, that they have some type of political savviness, because this is like a lose-lose. Either you're gonna like get roasted for being pro, which there's nothing wrong with being pro, FYI, but like if you're in Congress, you think there is, or you're gonna get roasted by the left for like supporting Charlie Kirk. Yeah. So it's a lose-lose for most like Democratic congressmen.
Yeah.
Congress
listen, go for it.
Also, like the whitewashing of Charlie.
Yeah,
that's been insane.
Like he went from like a guy who like, he said like, if I had like a black woman doctor, I wouldn't trust her because obviously women can't be doctors.
It's a black pilot.
Black women can't be doctors.
The black pilot situation.
Black pilot, yeah, black pilot too. He said both. He said doctor and black pilot.
Like, I hope he knows how to fly this thing.
And then now he's like literally Jesus, bro. That bullet washed his sins. I will say, like it washed all the sins. Or the bullet was Jesus. The bullet took all the sins.
Oh
away
my
from
god,
him,
man, dude! It really, that was a crazy. I don't think I've ever seen like in a political or like any sort of assassination in like 4D like that.
Yeah,
I saw like 15 different angles. There's like one angle I saw is like pretty much head on, and like it hits his jugular. Mm-hmm. That when the blood started coming out, and I saw basically his spine snap. Right, because it probably like deflected because his neck immediately folded, which probably meant like it hit part of his spine, and now he can't like keep his spine upright. Oh. And they're like, "Oh, is he dead? Is he alive?" I'm like, "Dude, he was dead within 10 seconds. Yeah. It hit his jugular vein. He is gone. Like I don't care what anybody tells you. He's not in the he wouldn't have made it to the ambulance. Like he's gone."
Is this the second political assassination of your guys' lifetime? Because I think Brian Thompson counts as my first.
I'm not sure.
I remember watching the coverage of Gabrielle Giffords. She'd survived, but she was shot in the head in Tucson, and that was like 2008. One of her aides was killed. Okay. She's Congressman Giffords now. She's like a pretty advocate.
I've seen a political suicide.
Mark Kelly's wife,
which was during The Hague when the what the fuck was his name? God, I should know this. No, Milosevic. Fuck that guy. No, it's one of his commanders. One of the from Srpska Republika, one of the commanders. He was supposed to be sentenced to like 25 years or something like that, and he's like, "I deny your jurisdiction." It takes the shot of poison.
That's hardcore.
Yeah, it takes the shot of poison. I'm like, "Fuck, dude!" He took the easy way out.
Oh! I want to point this out. Tyler Robinson, that's the shooter's name. There's a foundation called the Tyler Robinson Foundation, and the reviews currently are so fucking funny. They're like, did you train him? 10 out of 10 didn't miss.
Yo,
like,
hold on.
Like
was the foundation made after or before?
Way before. It's an old foundation. Yeah. People are just flooding their
because this was like from 200 meters, 200 feet out. Was it 200?
They're for dude, that's 200 yards, I think. Yeah. Which is
still a pretty decent shot.
It's not unreasonable.
It's still a pretty fucking decent shot. He had one bullet. That's it. And what's crazy to me is like the difference between this shot and the shot versus at Trump earlier. Was it this year?
Yeah,
or last year?
The kid with the glasses.
Yeah. This one was a bolt action rifle. So you got.
I don't know anything about the weapon or I know it was 200 feet, give or take.
Yeah, from what I understand, it was a bolt action rifle. And so you got a single shot unless you got to reload, but then it's like that's too late. You got one shot. The guy that shot at Trump, he had, correct me if I'm wrong, he had like an AR-15. Yeah. He could have just went ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta.
Sort of,
right?
Yeah.
He took one shot, and then Trump had a scratch on his ear that healed in a week.
Yeah.
He went on Joe Rogan's podcast 1 week later. There wasn't even a burnt mark. There wasn't any scabbing, nothing. It was just like, they did such a great job. My ear, it's completely there. They healed me up. And I'm sitting here, I'm like, even like just the heat of that bullet should have like left him scabbed for like 2 weeks, even if it didn't hit, if it just grazed his ear. There's no way. And I'm like, now I'm like questioning is like, was the Trump assassination even an attempted assassination, or was this whole shit staged just so his numbers go up?
Yeah, I don't know, man. That whole thing is pretty like suspect.
That one's really sus, right? And this one's kind of sus too. Like I'm obviously, like. You don't want to put on your tinfoil hat too often. We still need to make that tinfoil hat. We want to make a tinfoil hat when we start talking about conspiracies to put them on. But this one's honestly kind of sus because it's like, with all the shit that's going on. Because he did call out for the Epstein file to be released 2 days prior. 2 days prior to
my favorite conspiracy theory is always like, it's not that they're like directly hiring these people or directing them. It's just that they look the other way. Like, they have a whack job on their list. They've been tracking for a while now. And there's like, we're not going to do the necessary precautions this time. Like if something happens, something happens.
That's pretty standard though.
There's a lot of stuff with that with like 9/11, I feel like, where it's like, you should have known at some point that something was going to happen, but there's just so many failings where they just decide not
something
to
new.
act. It's like,
Pearl Harbor, man.
Martin Luther King, what's his name? James Earl Ray, whoever the shooter for Martin Luther King. They had been watching him.
Yeah, they already knew about
JFK.
that.
They had been obviously they'd been watching Harvey Oswald, and that's like kind of like my leading like belief of like quote unquote a conspiracy theory is that like the CIA might not have like orchestrated it, but they definitely the CIA and the FBI like knew something was going to happen and just chose to turn the other way, like trying to just look away.
I think the biggest one is World War II, because they knew that, like, so there was already like further research down the road. They found out that the U.S. government knew that Japan was coming to bomb Pearl Harbor, and all of their ships left, the major ships like the aircraft carriers left Pearl Harbor just in time for Pearl Harbor to get bombed. And it was just like, okay, so they wanted to enter the war, but
needed a pretext,
but he couldn't enter the war because he told them that Americans are not going to enter this war, so he needs a reason to enter the war, right? Which is kind of crazy.
On this podcast, we are Pearl Harbor truthers. Kamikaze planes can't melt.
There you go,
warships.
Bro. There you go.
But it's never forget the USS Arizona.
Absolutely.
I've never been to Pearl Harbor. I'd like to go see the USS Arizona. Apparently, it's just you can just go look, and it's just below the water level there.
Really? Okay.
The battleship. Yeah, it's just there still.
So yeah, there's a lot of conspiracy theories out here, and it's like, okay, like some of them have merit, you know what I mean, and they might not be completely true, but there's something definitely going on there. Like you said, they might have not actually orchestrated the assassination, but if they knew it was going to happen, they're not stopping it, right?
Well, and I think so. That's all. Like, we leading up to it and it happening, we probably won't ever really know what's going to happen. Like, just like we never really know what happened with JFK, or at least not for a long time. But the bigger question I have, and I think what's more important, is like what happens next, because Trump has been talking about 24 of the top 25 high crime cities are all run by Democrats. That's something he's been talking about a lot. So that's what has been his excuse, or his pretext at least, to like talk about these rollouts of National Guard and police to these cities. Like, I don't know.
But can he declare martial law just based upon crime levels, even though the statistics show that most crime levels have dropped in most cities?
Crime is down like a whole hog across the board. Yeah, but I mean, he can do whatever he wants, right? I mean, that's the thing. It's like, is it legal? Who knows? But that's what the Democrats are always like. He can't do that. It's against the law. And it's like,
then enforce it.
He doesn't give a shit. And like that, so that's not like a valid excuse for him to not do something. Like, when are you going to learn that lesson? That like, just because something's against the law, that's, laws are, like I said, laws are only words unless you enforce them. And if you don't enforce them, then there is no such thing as the law.
This is very true.
And so, yeah,
God damn.
Yeah. My personal conspiracy theory is that Trump ordered the hit because, like, and I don't have any evidence of it, and most likely it wasn't, but he ordered the hit and to distract from the Epstein files and to do martial law. And now he very quickly realized, like, he's not going to be able to do it because nobody really gave that much of a fuck about Charlie Kirk. But the way he has not been sad at all, like, have you seen him at the Yankees game just fist pumping to YMCA? Just like immediately after his quote unquote best friend's death, like, I swear to God, he ordered the hit. He tweeted it immediately, "My good friend's dead," and then he consoled his wife over the phone, and then he just went back to like pumping the fist in the air. Like, this is not the behavior of a man who genuinely lost
unless
a friend.
He's an actual sociopath, that's which is very much like possible. He has,
I mean, there's also that the fact that he overcompensated and gave him like the highest medal prestige.
Yeah, he's giving him like the what is it, the whatever Medal of Freedom or whatever.
Yeah, the Medal of Freedom. Yeah. The entire country goes half-mast down. That seems like he's overcompensating. Right. For it,
and right? That was what people were saying about Netanyahu too, is because Netanyahu is just like they made a giant mural in like the middle of what is it? Tel Aviv or Jerusalem, wherever there's like a giant. They made a giant Charlie Kirk like monument, and it's just like, what is happening? Like, why is Israel going so hard on like setting up like memorials for Charlie Kirk to not just keep the conversation about Charlie Kirk and not about anything else? So yeah, exactly. No, I totally believe that that's definitely, if not,
I really think it has something to do with Trump and something to do with the Epstein. Because it's just like, dude, 2 days prior to that, he literally like, no, the list must come out.
Yeah.
And
the only like kind of like wrinkle to any of this is like the shooter being so right wing of like, well, how do they like
they hired
reconcile that?
There's like they either hired the guy. I mean, I don't know, man. I don't know. To me, that's the biggest thing. It's like it was a right winger shooting another right winger.
It would have been the perfect narrative, the perfect pretext for like invading Democrat cities, like everything. If it had been like a trans or a left wing shooter,
yeah.
But it's like a hardcore right wing shooter. That's the only wrinkle in all of this.
Maybe he was never meant to be caught.
Maybe
he was never meant to be caught, and just the local police department or whatever actually caught him. Yeah. Because like,
what was it? Kash Patel having to actually do his job for once.
Yeah,
that was a really funny part of this too. It was like his goofy windbreaker, and it's just all of a sudden this like internet troll is like, who is the director of the FBI, has to like pretend to be the director of the FBI and do his job, which is just so funny to watch because it's like he's just cosplaying. I've seen the pictures.
Like these are the two guys set to try to find him, and it's just Kash Patel with like his crackhead eyes like wide open, and the other guy looked like he
with
was
his like bleached hair or whatever. Yeah, I've seen that
LARPing as a James Bond villain. He's like 20 years old.
No. The best part was reading out the bullet casing.
What was it? The Utah governor reading those out like in like just verbatim stone face. That was like one of the funniest press conferences ever.
Yeah. O notices your bulge. Like
if you were reading this, you are gay. LMAO.
Is that what it said?
That's one of the bullet casings.
Oh my god! What?
Yeah, dude. Hold on, let me find.
They were all like just like troll. Like they were carved with the bullets. And so like the one I saw was the Utah governor had a press conference and he was reading these things like, and it's just like this like really somber press conference, and then the Utah governor reading things like, if you're reading this, you are gay, because that's like what his bullet casing said. So like
what?
So like for the cops that found him, it's like, if you read this, you're gay, and that's like so like it was just so funny, dude. And it was just like such an
catch this fascist, and then a Helldivers reference.
The video game.
Yeah, what was the first one you just said?
And then OWO notices bulge.
But right before that, it said something fascist.
Catch this fascist, and then it's a Helldivers reference.
Okay,
I never played it, but
which is a video game. Yeah. It's all related to like right wing, like ironic culture. Like it's like anti-fascist, but from like a right wing kind of, this is funny, I'm a fascist, I'm using anti-fascist terms kind of way, I think.
Just the best one is, if you're reading this, you're gay.
Yeah, but if you're reading this, we're so cooked, bro. What the fuck is going on with American society? We're just like a global society, man.
I mean, he was 22 and he was like overly online. He didn't have a girlfriend.
Ladies,
he felt like he was socially isolated.
Dude, help the world out, bro. Just
no. Keep it going. No. Let them leave them alone. You know, just let them find out.
Fair enough, man. Save a life, you know. Blow a guy, save a life. I don't know.
Blow a guy, save a life. I don't know. I don't know about that.
That's like, dude, Jesus Christ. How many more of these guys are there? That's what's scary to me.
Millions. I mean, there's unlimited amount.
Jesus.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing about American culture that I keep on saying. Like, we're so stupid to some degree, because like, you ask like somebody from like, I don't know, like the Philippines, like, why are you a communist? They're like, yeah, man, I was on the streets. I had to struggle to get food. You know, I was living in a shanty town. And you ask somebody from America, and it's like, oh, I played Helldivers when I was 12, and it really convinced me about the necessity of a Fourth Reich. You know, it's just like stupid shit like that. You know, it's like, oh yeah, I watched. It's like whether or not you become communist or not, or fascist. It's like whether or not you watch like, I don't know, like Rugrats or like the Muppets. Like, it's dumbass shit like that. You know, it's
we got video games over here fucking radicalizing people to be groypers.
Yeah.
And Jesus Christ. My first law enacted as a communist dictator of the US. No more video games.
No more video
games.
Yeah.
It's turning all of our children into white supremacists.
You become China, because China bans a bunch of video games because they're the party's generally run by like old people. I feel like uncles or like Chinese dads. They ban video games all the time in China, out of fear of like it corrupting the youth or something like that, or not corrupting the youth, but like taking away from homework time or something like that.
Restricted. Like there's very few games. Like you can play PUBG, which is like there's still a huge Chinese population that plays PUBG.
The only game that we're gonna legalize is Pokemon Go. How about that?
Go.
And then
Pokemon Go. They haven't. They've reversed that actually. They've been developing more games, but like before the modern age CPC, they used to ban video games all the time just because they wanted kids to do homework. Like I'm not
That's
even
probably
kidding.
for the fucking better, honestly.
So, yeah.
It's for the better. Oh my god, man.
Well, I don't know. Any other thoughts on Charlie Kirk? We'll have to see where this goes. But yeah, I just pulled up some of the. I don't understand the Helldivers reference. It's like some up down, whatever. But then it was if you read this, you are gay, and then a third one said Bella Ciao, which is.
But that's an anti-fascist reference from Italy.
Bella Ciao is.
Yeah,
it is, but it's used
Ciao,
ironically
Bella Ciao,
by
Ciao.
people like on the fascists, like by.
So they're just sarcasm. It's just all sarcasm.
Yeah. It's part of a Spotify. Yeah, it's part of a Spotify playlist. They did a remix version. So what they're doing right now, Nick Fuentes, fascist, like Groypers, they're taking a lot of anti-fascist symbols and they're like, it's sort of like SJW. Like SJW used to be like a bad term, but a lot of SJWs like genuinely use it as like a good term. Like they're like, hell yeah. Or tanky even. Like we use tanky all the time.
Yeah, it's like it's like base too, right? Like I don't know. I don't no longer know if base started as a left-wing thing or right-wing thing. But it works for both, right? Like so if like, Yeah. So like if you say like, oh, Charlie Kirk was shot, you'd say base, and it's like, I don't know if that's a good or bad thing. Like I don't know what you're referring to based on your politics. Like that's the same thing.
America's entering this weird period where like we're getting like mass shooters and assassination attempts against like public figures, and the people doing it, they're ideologically mostly incoherent, right? Like Luigi Mangione, he was a little bit more left wing, but he was also sort of like weirdly like right left. And then this guy, Andrew, what's his name again? Tyler Robinson.
Looks like an Andrew.
He's weirdly like left, right. Like he's more on the Groyper side, obviously, but he's so hard to read ideologically for like the average person. I feel like where it's like it's hard to fit them neatly
that's pretty
box,
consistent.
You know
across,
what I'm saying?
Like all like even who was it? There was a trans shooter earlier this year, and they were in the same boat. It was a trans woman, but they were like ideologically incoherent and all over the place. And it's just like, I don't know. And I think that's kind of like my guess is if you were to do like a deeper dive on like profiles of all shooters of like take a sample size of 100 of the mass shooters in the past like 2 years or whatever, they would probably all be on some shade of right wing, but incoherent and like back and forth.
Yeah, what's crazy though is like the amount of incoherentness in these people's political stances, but the amount of determination they're using with that incoherentness to kill somebody.
Yeah.
Like I am very strong at what I believe, but yet I don't turn around and commit heinous crimes. And these people, like, I don't know really what I believe, but I know I'm about to murk that guy.
Yeah.
I don't know what I believe, but I believe that very strongly. So it's just like, what?
Yeah. It's a strange, uniquely American thing, like you were saying. Like, it's like, I don't know. It's very bizarre. It's
what happens when there's like a lot of class issues and a lot of like poverty, but there's no educative process to like inform people why things are happening. People know this whole fucking economy and this whole place is a shithole at this point, but they don't know why. And that's also part of why was Trump and the other fucking goons were able to use that to their advantage and be like, you know what? It's the fucking illegals.
Well, I mean, liberals, we say this about them quite often, is like, you recognize that there's like 100 problems in your life, but you don't connect the dots that they're all like, they all stem from the same issue, right? I totally butchered that phrase, but there's a sentiment that's like, I'll look at all of these like totally unconnected problems I have, and it's like, well, no, if you had any kind of like class consciousness or like critical thinking skills, you would recognize that they all come from one. Yeah, they all stem from the same issue, which is, of course, capitalism. But
absolutely. I think a lot of the problems with liberals in general is that they, in a general sense, of course, I'm speaking here, they don't really have too much issues with poverty. It's more other issues. I think once you hit poverty, that's when you really hit a real critical point of like gaining that consciousness, that class consciousness, because a lot of liberals, they're like, oh, they're very, pro LGBTQ, they're very, pro women's rights, this and that, but they're also making 250, 300 grand a year, so they don't feel that other side of like.
I would also argue that they're not super pro LGBT or pro women's rights. They are performatively, but when it comes when it comes to actually like acting on it, or if it threatens their capital, then they will abandon those beliefs immediately.
Yeah.
So like,
well, that's what I'm saying. It comes down to the money. They're still making a lot of money.
Yeah.
So it's it is a performative thing, right? Yeah. And so they don't have the actual class consciousness based upon personal experiences. And if they do, well, usually they end up being Republican because like I got, I was poor, I was homeless, and then I put my 2 teeth together, then I grinded them, and then I grinded and I made money, and now I'm rich.
Like Mark Wayne or whatever.
Yeah. So there's like those are the 2 routes.
Also, I think America is very good at mystifying just class society, like and under an idealism, and so America's like a very idealistic society in that like it can't really point towards like class structure. It's very much like liberals. They're like liberalism is a very much cultural battle, right? It's like there's these people and they're backwards, and we just need to get them to think the right way, and we can fix all the problems. And the backwards people are usually like, I don't know, like hillbillies and truckers and rednecks, and so the enemy of liberals. Yeah, like Democrats are like conservative white people, and then conservative white people, their enemies are like what, like Starbucks baristas and illegal migrants and
the waiters after church.
Waiters after church, people who don't say Merry Christmas instead of Happy Holidays, which, and then like at the same time they're like super like pro-Israel, but like the reason people say Happy Holidays is for Hanukkah, so like I don't know, they're like also kind of anti-Semitic. I don't know, whatever.
Which all comes down to coherence, man. It's like the name of the game.
Yeah. Americans, they don't want to recognize class rule. American society is so good at dividing ourselves, though. I feel like we're very good at getting into these stupid fights over each other than actual class. It's a very mystified society.
Well, there's also still like this whole like. Yeah. Misguided belief that there is like a middle class, or that it's not like because like that's the goal, right?
Talk about it
the
like
white picket fence, the suburban in the garage, right, or the SUV in the garage and the suburban house and all that stuff. It's like that's largely for most people a myth now, or at least unattainable. And
dude, it's certainly here where we're at, in the Seattle area. What you're talking about is like close to $1 million,
over $1 million, for like a decent house,
Like and even if you go more north or south in the more like suburbia areas, there's still like $700,000,
which is just right? like unattainable.
Who the fuck has $700,000? Even if I did, I wouldn't spend it on that.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's just absolutely. I don't know. Like we're all over the place, like both ideologically, but also because of our material conditions just like don't allow for us to see, or at least don't allow for most Americans to kind of see the reality of the situation. Like there's still like this idea through like our media and through sitcoms and everything that there is this like light at the end of the tunnel, that if you just work hard enough you'll be able to afford the house.
Absolutely. But I do have to say I feel like leftism is really picking up right now, though.
Is it? I don't know.
I feel like it is. I feel like it really is.
I'm online less now than I've ever been, which was never very much, and so like I only get what I see from people, like coworkers and stuff. So I don't see that same thing.
I see like the youth either going kind of like leftist or they're going right. Right.
It's right and left wing. They're both growing.
Which is because we're growing, they are as well. It seems like just the fucking the laws of the universe. We can never take it from the centrists.
I will say though, teaching freshmen. Public high school teach freshmen, when Charlie Kirk was shot, the reactions to that were pretty like enlightening, or pretty inspiring rather, because like most of the kids were like laughing because he was like like the kids aren't immune to like who these people are, right? Like even if you're 14, 15 years old, you kind of know who that is. So like I guess to your point about like people being more left wing, the vast majority of the reactions I saw from kids in high school, which is like kind of fucked up because I shouldn't be seeing videos like that. Like I mean, that's a separate.
Yeah, I saw at 12 years old. I saw freaking
what was it?
The Cartel like fucking sawing off a woman's head while she was alive.
What was that old website? There was an old website where you could just
put some live leak in the kindergartens. Just a little bit of trauma. Just a little bit of internet trauma. The real world
like
builds character.
They thought it was funny, or like they were like clapping or whatever, and I'm like, I mean that's. I mean I'm not going to tell them not to. I stay pretty neutral, or at least I try to. At least with certain things like this, which I could get fired for not staying neutral.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but I was like clocking like these kids. Like, okay, I see you.
Yeah, I'm by work. Most of the people were happy.
I mean. Yeah, the thing is, like, left wing obviously is growing amongst the youth, but one thing that I'm really happy to see is like the right wing sort of eating itself in this moment, because immediately after Charlie's gone, Ben Shapiro steps up. He's like, "Oh, I'll take over Charlie Kirk's legacy." And immediately, a Twitter, everybody on the right wing space are all like, "This guy's a Jew. He thinks that Jesus is in hell. Like, he's not taking over a good Christian man's place, you know, like something like the I think the anti-Semitism on the right is legitimately like ripping it apart because like some people on the right are anti-Semitic in terms of like supporting Israel and thinking that's like the Jewish project, and you know that's one form of anti-Semitism, you know, like conflating Zionism with Jewishness. And the other form of anti-Semitism is I hate all Jews, and you know I'm a Nazi, whatever. And they're just eating each other up right now, you know. And I'm sorry to all the Jewish comrades. This must be horrific to see, but it is. To some extent, I mean, it is to some extent kind of funny to see the right wing eat itself up.
It's funny that the right wing is like in turmoil. It's not super funny as to like the reason why, because it's rooted in anti-Semitism. But it is actually like I don't know who else. It's Dave Rubin. He's also Jewish. Ben Shapiro's Jewish. There's like a handful of like right wing commentators. Like some of the leading right wing commentators are Jewish, which is just like it is interesting that like 25% of like the prominent. Like what were they used to be called? The intellectual dark web. Those guys. It was like their dumb name for themselves, or I don't know if they named themselves, but it's what people called them. The intellectual dark web of like these quote unquote like enlightened conservative thinkers, which was like Ben Shapiro, Jordan Peterson, whatever. But a good percentage of them are Jewish, which is just interesting because like how anti-Semitic the right is in general, or at least incoherently anti-Semitic. Because they'll be like they'll be pro-Zionism or pro-Israel, but while simultaneously being anti-Semitic. Yeah,
it's an oxymoron in itself. Yeah, so I mean, we'll see what happens from here. But just the fact that I thought it was crazy that within a day or two, Ben Shapiro was like, "Yep, I am now the leader of Turning Point." I'm the guy. USA. I'm like, "Oh, that's not going to go good in the right wing sphere."
Oh, my favorite part of the saga, Steven Crowder. His bio went from number 2 conservative talk show host to number 1 conservative talk show host. Yeah.
Shout out Steven Crowder sliding in there, dude.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Way to seize the opportunity, my dude.
Oh my god, no way. Jesus Christ.
That's the funniest thing that come out of this. Thank you for that.
Oh
nugget.
My god. Oh, he did not give a fuck.
That's wild.
He's just like, all right, that's.
Well, Steven Crowder doesn't give a fuck anymore, dude. He's been so burned by everyone. Like he got burned by Ben Shapiro and the Daily Wire, and like he's all of his legal troubles, his depositions. Idiot. Like he's at rock bottom. So like that's partly because he's an idiot. Have you watched his depositions where like he just incriminates himself constantly? Because he's an idiot? Oh, no. You should. You can watch the depositions of his, like, I forget what the original suit, like whatever libel or slander suit it was that was put against him. But you can watch his deposition footage because they're, like, public, whatever. And I watched, like, a large chunk of it. And, like, he self-incriminates a lot because, like, he's an idiot. And so they'll ask him, the lawyer is, like, asking him what are obvious trap questions, and he just keeps falling into them. So,
no, this is a straight idiot. Yeah. On top of that, like, he's so abusive towards his wife. Yeah. Like, I've seen the videos of, like, how he talks to her. And he's definitely, like, a closeted... maybe even like a transgender.
We've talked about that before
because he's constantly
he's
a cross-dresser. Yeah. He's constantly any opportunity he can put where he could put a dress on and go out in public with makeup.
Yeah, and he's doing it under the guise of like being transphobic or whatever, but like he's doing it too much and too often for it to be like anything other than you just enjoy this, and that's okay, man. Admit it.
Yeah.
No, like what was his face? That right wing guy in the wheelchair, the congressman. All those photos surfaced to him in doing cross-dressing, and he was like a hardcore right-wing guy.
Definitely not Stephen Hawking. That's the only
Madison.
That's the only thing on my mind right now.
Stephen Hawking is my fucking mind with a dress on.
Was it Madison Cawthorn or Madison Hawthorne?
Yes.
Yeah, he was a conservative congressman from like Hawthorne. Florida or something, or Georgia. I don't know, somewhere in the South. But he was like a hardcore like transphobe, homophobe, like pretty awful right wing guy. But all these photos kept surfacing of him like doing cross dressing, and like he's like, it's just college costume parties or Halloween parties, when it's like, dude, it's okay to like cross-dress. Like, we all accept you. You can do it, man.
Yeah, you can.
Absolutely. But yeah, and well, also I just saw like I just saw this on, I think it was on Reddit, where it's like the percentage of femboy and trans porn searches has reached a record high among conservatives. Like that's like almost like exclusively what they're watching in terms of porn.
Yeah, because that's like, taboo to them.
Yeah, and like that's their like.
I mean, you saw women. You remember the
Grindr thing?
Not just the Grindr thing, but when Alex Jones got exposed because he had his web browsers up, and on one of the web browsers it was trans porn.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys remember that. That was
I don't remember that, but it's just like
7-8 years ago. Yeah,
they're all so closeted, and it's just like, dude, we'll welcome you over here. Just renounce your fascist ways.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But see, on the other side, the fascists would never let you renounce your whatever tinky ways. I guess
that's fair.
They would just fucking shoot you.
Yeah, that's the difference between authoritarian communism and authoritarian fascism.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No. Also, I don't know if you guys have grown up around rural places, but eccentric guy who's almost gay but very conservative is a very
that's a common
theme. Like super Christian, super eccentric, very fruity.
CEO of Crumble.
You could swear.
CEO of Crumble.
You could swear.
Have you not seen that? The CEO of Crumble. He just came out as gay.
I don't know.
He's a Mormon.
Cookie place?
Yeah, the cookie place. He's a Mormon. He is really Christian, and he got exposed. And he's like, "This is not the way I wanted to come out, but I guess this is happening."
Now's the time. Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't lived anywhere rural in a long time, but at least not since I was like 12. So I don't really know.
This guy's a Mormon. He's from Utah, and he's like, he got exposed. He's like, because one gay guy from TikTok, he's like, yeah, that dude is gay, like 100% gay, and they got like 3 million likes, and he's like, I got caught, and he literally came out in video, and he's like, yes, I am gay. Mm-hmm. I was like, I mean, good for you, but bro, you're good, like you're fine.
Yeah.
But he's talking about like the mass amounts of like conservatives that are like closeted. It's crazy, and I don't know how much more we have to tell them that we accept them.
Yeah.
But I think it's just in their culture.
Yeah, it's just their own. People wouldn't. So,
I'm sorry. I cut you off there. I had to throw that in. I just learned that like a couple of days ago.
It's overcompensation, honestly, in my opinion. It's just overcompensation. And internalized self-hatred. That's got to be it, right?
Yeah. Well, do we want to? I mean, we've been going for almost an hour. Do we want to jump ship and talk about Nepal?
Yeah. Let's talk about Nepal real quick,
because this is really interesting.
Yeah. Okay. Nepali history overview. Used to be ruled by an autocratic monarchy. They had communist guerrilla forces, and the thing about Nepal is like there's 100 different factions at all times of these communists. So I'm not going to go over them in depth. Also, I can't keep track of them either. But they fight a guerrilla campaign against the monarchy. China actually ends up funding the monarchy against the communists, which is like a big China L. Eventually, they managed to get a deal from the monarchy that they'll get a constitutional parliament, constitutional democracy, and then eventually they reform the monarchy out entirely, and they get like a 3-chamber parliament, so like a modern democracy. The problem is the communists. There's 5 parties that rule Nepal. Some of them are communist, some of them are like center left, but all of them are neoliberal, right? So they've given up any sort of socialism a long time ago. They're neoliberals, they do capitalism, and basically they're communist in name only, essentially. And they're also Western puppets, basically. Like Nepal is between China and India, so that's one of the reasons why China was supporting the monarchy. They want to retain their sort of geopolitical influence over Nepal. And so it sort of ends up playing a lot of sides. It's also sort of weirdly on the Western-ish side, this communist government. So people are just pissed off, man. Like, living expenses are high. Everything's going higher. The Communist Party calls itself communist, and people's living expenses are going up. And also, the people of Nepal have a long history of just guerrilla warfare. Like, they're used to this kind of shit, right? They know how to fight the fight. So there's 2 major groups within Nepal. There's like sort of the neo-monarchy side. They want to bring the monarchy back. They were having protests a couple months before this. And then there's this trend in Asia right now that's big and popular. Are you familiar with the Nepo baby trend?
Yeah, I've heard about it. I've read up on the Nepal a little bit.
Okay. I'm going to explain it super quick for anybody who doesn't know, but the Nepo baby trend is basically in the Philippines and Indonesia, people have been following the Nepo babies of politicians, and they've noticed that these Nepo babies are buying like Gucci bags. They're trying to be influencers. And, when you're poor as shit, when you barely have any money and, your politician's daughter or son is like posting in Dubai with like a Gucci bag, that kind of makes you a little bit, like angry, right? Like it makes you a little bit murderous, honestly. I'm gonna be honest, especially with like the wealth inequality in like a lot of these societies, like Philippines, Indonesia, like Nepal. It's crazy compared to even like America, where like people can have like a moderately ish, like you can still afford an apartment. Like people are fucked in these other countries. Anyways, that combined with Sharma Ali, who's the prime minister, him doing a social media ban because, well, the narrative's getting out of hand, the Nepo baby and anti-corruption stuff's getting out of hand. Nepal just fucking explodes. Gen Z just fucking explodes. They burned down ministers' houses. They chased their finance minister down a river. They took off his shirt. They unclothed him. Yeah, it was fucking crazy. They're armed. They start getting arms. It's just 19 protesters get killed. They were peaceful, of course.
I heard 34
and
now.
34. Yeah. I wasn't aware of that. But yeah, it's
most of them are
insane.
teenagers too, which is the craziest part. Yeah,
young people. Yeah, it's like 20-year-old like teenagers. And shit, what happens after that? After that, well, Sharma Ali flees the country and they elect a new interim government off of Discord. And this lady, Discord. Yeah, 100,000 people. And it's an interim government. They're going to have their official elections later. This lady, I don't completely trust the new prime minister. I forget her name that they elected in. Yeah, okay. I don't trust her completely, but I do believe that there's a lot of democratic bottom-up movements right now, and I do think they can win the communist factions at least.
Yeah,
like the real communist
from
factions.
what I've heard and what I've read is like the Nepali youth really like her because she was previously one of the chief justices in the Supreme Court, and 1 year, 16 to 17, and I think she either resigned or they let her go. In that year, she actually called for the arrest of one of the ministers in Nepal for corruption and sentenced him to jail. And then after that, she either stepped down or got released or however that works. And she was just known to be the incorruptible judge, right? And and I have a Nepali friend at work that explained some to me too. He's just like, everybody really likes her. She's like a really nice lady. She's not like radical or anything like that, but she seems to have like a very like solid stance of anti-corruption. That's what she's known for, like anti-corruption. She does not like corruption. She constantly is like fighting for like an anti-corruptive stance in the Nepali government. They didn't like that. That's why she only served like 1 year as a Supreme Court judge. To me, what the craziest part, and also she got arrested, I think it was like in 1990 or something like that. They had like another, not a revolution, but like a revolt, and she was arrested for like political disobedience. But the fact that they voted for the new prime minister, the interim prime minister, on fucking Discord, that's never fucking happened before.
Yeah.
Well, and apparently it's over, right? So as of yesterday, the protests have
the protest is over. It was like a 48-hour period
last night. And the total death count is now at least 51.
Okay.
Yeah, and so there was a moment of silence held last night. Like there was like a big like event that was like the protest is largely over. Now they've held like some kind of like vigil / like memorial service for the 51 that have died, and then the question is what next? Like they have the Supreme Court Justice Shushila Karki.
Yeah,
she's named prime minister. And then.
Yeah, well, not everything fell apart. It was the prime minister and a couple of like a lot of the cabinet members that fled, but the actual military was like apolitical and like stayed and made sure the country wasn't invaded in the meantime, which I thought was seems pretty cool. Like that they're fairly apolitical, because I know the fucking military's political as shit. They're conservative as shit. And so that was interesting instance. And then Modi sent his best regards to her as the new prime minister.
Welcoming.
So we'll
and then so did the U.S. State Department, and so it's like, but we'll see. Also, she's like very like non-ideological, like you said, like, and she's going to rely on a lot of bureaucrats who are non-ideological for now for the interim government.
Do you know much about like her actual stances on different things, like different political
not really
policies? If she's a Supreme Court judge, her politics won't have been like widely. Like,
well, her whole exactly. She's supposed to be nonpartisan, but from what I understand, she's very just anti-corruption, which is it's a good start.
That's fine.
It's a good start because the biggest thing in Nepal at that point, what really triggered this was just the corruption that caused these nepo babies, the corruption where they would make a deal with China to build a factory and then they would just pocket the money and not build the factory.
Yeah,
I mean, this literally just sounds like Bosnia. This is Bosnia.
This is Eastern European corruption at its finest.
Yeah, and I'm like, and what's crazy is like, dude, 24 hours is all it really fucking took, and it happened also in Bangladesh, kind of like the same idea.
Yeah.
Happened in Bangladesh and now Nepal, and I'm like, is this going to be a domino effect? Who's next?
Yeah, it happened in Indonesia, and then it's kind of happening in the Philippines. It's not as strong, but kind of happening in the Philippines. So I think at least Asia is getting swept by like I would to some extent say, and a lot of them got co-opted by the CIA and stuff. Like it's almost like an Asian version of the Arab Spring.
The 2011 Arab Spring. What it feels like.
That's what it feels like. Yeah, but I mean, something like Indonesia would be so fucking hard to overthrow a government. 280 million people.
The Philippines too. Like,
but just think about like all the islands. And Indonesia is a strong fucking military. It's a strong country, right? It's a large country. How many islands? Because like once you're in Nepal, like where are you gonna go? You have to flee outside of Nepal. There's no like random islands you can hop on. Indonesia
the border is like what the Mount Everest, right? Like
half Mount Everest. You got India this way. That's it. Alps. That's pretty much. Yeah. Maybe take a helicopter into Bhutan. But like that's the thing is like Indonesia is like, the prime minister hopped from this island to that island, and now it's a secure military island that you can't get to. You're kind of screwed. So we'll see. I hope
see where it goes.
I hope that happens to other countries too. I think kind of need this. So the world kind of needs some sort of like revolutionary, even if it's not a communist revolutionary moment. They just need some sort of change. Because
that's my bigger thing is like we'll see how this goes. Because like, but if it ends up just being like more neoliberalism, like with slightly less corruption, then like what's the point?
At least they get to be better, man.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if there's material like improvements, then great.
Yeah.
I don't know, obviously.
The one I'm looking at right now is Safal Committee. It was formed by a lot of the street organizers, and they're calling for like a completion of the revolution, basically. So like complete communist principles. So that's the one I'm rooting on winning. Safal Committee. So. If you want to keep up with them, SAFAL Committee on Twitter, TikTok, everything. Yeah.
SAFAL Committee. Okay. Yeah. God damn. Well, I mean, kind of a good point to like shift into Indian communist politics. What are we looking at here? Last time we had you on to talk about some other stuff, but toward the end we started talking about the Indian Communist Party, and we wanted you to come back on now to explain a little bit of this. So that'd be enlighten us a little bit.
Okay, so the Indian Communist Movement began with the Russian Revolution, really, and the Russian Revolution just inspired everybody all over the world because it was, to some extent, really an anti-colonial revolution. Especially in Central Asia. The Tsarist Russia was an empire, basically. It was like Britain overseas, essentially, especially around the Central Asian countries. And so Indians are just looking at this. They're under the fucking British Raj, and they're like, hell yeah, dude, like this looks cool, and so the Indian Communist Party gets set up twice by this guy named M.N. Roy. The original foundation date kind of gets like messed up. It's cracked down on, so it's refounded in 1925. And it's called Communist Party India, CPI. So that's been the main Communist Party for over about 100 years. This year's 2025, so it has been 100 years, almost exactly. And so the CPI, its first aims are to get rid of the British, right? You got the British Raj. The British are fucking up India, man. Like what else can you say?
Oh, it's the fucking Brits.
Yeah. Or Germans, or French, or Turks, or
Keep the Turks name out of your mouth. I'm just kidding.
You're from the Balkans. What do you mean?
Turks. Long live the Sultanate. No,
okay.
I'm just kidding.
So they get like heavily involved into the trade union movements in the 1920s. And the British are immediately, alarmed by the growth of CPI, right? Like, you're not going to be happy with the Communist Party of India. growing, so they immediately begin suppressing it. Their first suppression comes with the I'm gonna fuck up this name. I'm so whitewashed. I'm so sorry. But the Meerut conspiracy case, and that's when like 3 communists who incited like an Indian railway strike, which included British workers, by the way. They go to jail or they get executed. A lot of them get executed and jailed. Not just 3. I fucked up. It was a ton of people in that strike. It accidentally made communism more popular, though. The Meerut conspiracy case, like the goal was to make CPI unpopular, but they accidentally make it like way more popular because like everybody's paying attention to this trial, effect, you know, and. Yeah. And they're like, what the fuck? Like, these guys are fighting for our rights. They're trying to free India? Like, this sounds bomb.
Fire.
You know? Yeah, absolutely. But in 1935, the British formally, like, declare communism illegal in India. So the party has to go underground, CPI. During the Great Depression, Communist Party India, it slowly grows its rank, doing, like, underground work. In 1937, they get 606,000 workers to strike, which is an insane number, I feel like. The communist parties of India are really good at just mobilizing like hundreds of thousands, millions these days of workers to strike. And, you know, it's because India's got a lot of manpower, but also they're just good at doing that kind of stuff, just general strikes. In the 1930s, the Communist Party would begin mobilizing peasants because they sort of it's sort of like an early realization of what Mao realized, right? Like the peasants are also ideological. The peasants need to be organized as much as the industrial proletariat. We can't just keep on working with this like old Marxist idea that only the industrial proletariat is the revolutionary class, you know. They would work with Congress Party, which is the nationalist party that eventually overthrew the British and is today sort of like the liberal leftish party. I hate to say it, but they're sort of like the mainstream Democrats almost nowadays in modern day Indian politics. Not quite a 1-to-1, but that's like the closest I can for American brains, sort of.
I would say like the Labour Party, I guess, in the UK.
Labour Party, you know what? That's a good one. Yeah, like a Tony Blairish, post-Tony Blairish Labour Party. Yeah. So for the Brits out there, you know, there you go. You can understand that. But they eventually get kicked out of the Indian Congress Party and its movement because, like, the capitalists in the Indian Congress Party don't like communism, right? Like, they may want India freed from the British, but they don't want it freed from the British because they like the Indian people. They just want to exploit the Indian people for themselves. Like, you know, of course, that's what all nationalist movements are. The communists end up setting up or agricultural workers organizations. They start entering rural areas. And do you guys know about the basics of the Indian caste system?
I know the fifth are like the untouchables or whatever.
The Brahmin.
The Dalit. The Brahmin are like the priestly caste, and they're super, super important, and you know all this bullshit. You know, it's almost like internal segregation within Indian society to some extent. And yes, Dalit caste is the untouchable caste, and they do all the dirty work, and you know.
Is this throughout India? Like
in many ways,
every like province in India like kind of follow this system, or is it just like a certain region?
Is in modern era China, or excuse me, modern era India, is this still like prolific?
It's very much real. A lot of the violence that Modi and the BJP do is either against Muslims or Dalits, and it's like. Dalits face a lot of sexual assault. They face a lot of violence against them because they've been historically sort of a punching bag of India. It goes to the Indo-Aryan invasions of India. So basically a couple of thousand years back, these people come invade India. They set up the caste system, and you know people who were sort of already in India and enslaved and things like that, they become the Dalit caste. So
are those like the Dravidians?
But it's a basically. And so it's an internal caste system, basically. I mean, internal segregation, basically, is the way I can put it. So the Communist Party, they start organizing the Dalits, right? So that's big, in my opinion, right? It's the first step towards true equality, right? And you mentioned if it was throughout India. It is throughout India, pretty much. But the specifics of the caste system will change on region to region. They'll have like different names and shit. Like in northern India, especially like northwestern
Kashmir.
India, on the Pakistani side. Not Kashmir.
Punjab?
Kashmir doesn't really, because
Gujarat,
they're mostly
kind
Punjab. Yeah. Like they'll have like Jat and Dalit, so it's not like Brahmin and Dalit, but it's still.
Yeah.
It's
What
still
about like
fucked
in
up. It still
Assam?
exists.
Because they seem like so disconnected from the rest of India.
I'm not entirely sure about that. I am very Punjabi brained. I cannot speak
Fair
for
enough.
other ethnicities, and other Their peasant organizations, the All Indian Kisan Sabha, at one point has like 800,000 peasants right before the breakout of World War II. So CPI, Communist Party India, is doing super good. So right now, CPI is the hero in modern day Indian politics. It sort of has a fall from grace, but we're going to get to that. With World War II breaking out, mass protests all across India to oppose Indian involvement in World War II. It leads to mass arrests. But Stalin and the Comintern, they honestly, I will say, they gave kind of terrible advice to a lot of communist parties all across the world, especially in terms of like alliance with liberals. That's the one part of the Trotskyist critique of Stalin that I kind of understand 100%. It's like Dimitrov's idea of the United Front with liberals was not the brightest, honestly. CPI sort of follows that. They start allying with the liberals of India, and they lose the masses of India. Really, they wait. No, I completely fucked it up. The Comintern tells CPI to support the Allies against the fascists, so they end up supporting the British. And the nationalists of India are actually against supporting the British, right? They're for boycotting the British. Gandhi leads this movement. We're not going to get involved in it. And so they accidentally end up against the masses of India because they're with the British to fight the fascists. But people in India are like, well, the British are sort of our fascists. Like they've already done worse to us. Like, why would we support them? In 1942, the Communist Party is unbanned. Okay, so they're sort of back. CPI is back legally. In 1943, the Bengal famine happens, which kills 3 million people, mostly due to the British exporting grain to feed themselves during World War II. And the Communist Party, its immediate job is to distribute aid in Bengal and fight landlords that hoard food. So they're on the wrong side in World War II. Honestly, they're supporting the British. A lot of people don't like them, but they're still playing ball. Yeah. I would say they're still playing ball. After the war, after World War II ends, communist movement just booms in India thanks to post-independence. India's a society with like mass poverty, caste division, so people are pretty drawn to the communists. And in 1946, even India's still under British rule. The Royal Indian Navy comes so close to sort of a communist revolt. It's called the Royal Indian Navy Mutiny. They start waving the communist flag. They start refusing British orders. They're in like the ports of Hong Kong, and they're not listening to the British, and they're arresting their officers. But it's mostly due to like poor living conditions in the Navy because the British aren't treating their Indian sailors well. But 100,000 sold sailors are in revolt, but it gets crushed, by the British. So it doesn't lead to any success. So India is officially independent on August 15th, 1947. British rule collapses in India. And this is when the Indian communist movement really hits its like identity crisis, I would say, because for about it's founded in like it was founded in 1927, it's 1947, so about 20-ish years. Their whole identity has been fighting the British, right? That's been their bread and butter. What do you do in India that's independent from the British? Right? Like,
where do you pivot
what are our policies going to be now? Yeah, like when so long your focus has just been get rid of the British, fight the British, fuck the British. India suddenly independent. You're just like, fuck, what now?
Who's next?
Like, what's like, what's the strategy now? And especially Congress Party, which was it's Gandhi's party. It's the one that leads the independence movement and everything. the Congress Party, the big debate is like, should we collaborate with the new government and Congress Party or should we not? So CPI Marxist forms, right? So there's CPI, Communist Party India, and now there's CPI Marxist. Okay, they're a split up group. And these names are fucking impossible, right? It's Communist Party India, bracket, Marxist. It's Communist Party India, bracket, Marxist-Leninist. It's Communist Party India, bracket, Maoist. And then there's Communist Party India, the original, right? So the naming conventions are awful. If you want to get yourself a headache, go to the Wikipedia. So CPI Marxist splits off from CPI, Communist Party India, and they're opposed to working with the new Indian government whatsoever. CPI, it supports working with them, and it starts pushing a peaceful road to socialism, right? Very similar to like Khrushchev sort of lines. I would say was Khrushchev a big peaceful road to socialism, right? He was like communism by 2080,
something like that,
right?
Yeah, he was definitely he was more like a He tried to make it more palatable and more like mainstream and like less aggressive is the term.
Yeah. Peaceful coexistence, things like that. CPI adopts a lot of those ideas. Also very similar to the Italian road to socialism, and even though Allende is the GOAT, the Chilean road to socialism, just like the idea of a peaceful road to socialism through electoralism.
Reformist, basically.
Economic reforms.
Finally, CPI Marxist-Leninist is created. Okay, so now we have Communist Party India, Communist Party Marxist, and Communist Party Marxist-Leninist. And they were created because neither party wanted to do armed struggle. So this leads to the foundation of the Naxal and the Naxalbari. Have you heard of the Naxalbari? Okay, so they're this Maoist corridor in eastern India, sort of central eastern India, that have been fighting a guerrilla war for like a long time, and they control a bunch of peasant spaces. They have this thing called the Red Corridor. They're always getting into shootouts with the Indian government, and they're organizing peasants constantly. So CPI Marxist-Leninist, it takes up arms, and it's sort of the beginning of that movement, the Naxal movement. And then in 1956, the state of Kerala is created. There was like a big dispute over whether or not Kerala should be created. It's a long story. It's over nationalism, language, British borders, just all that typical bullshit of a post-independent British country. The way they fucking draw the borders and the way they get ethnic groups together. It's just, and then the broken treaties. It's just, honestly, fuck the British, man. I would say, and also the Turks a little bit. What
did the Turks do to the Indians? Oh,
nothing. This is on behalf of the Balkans.
Okay.
I'm a Balkan nationalist.
No, I was just I felt like there was like the Turks did something to the Indians.
Turks up in India somehow. Yeah.
No. Turks are cool. I don't have anything against the Turks. Just in case the commoners start coming. But I don't want to piss them off. But in 1956, the state of Kerala is created, and it's fully incorporated into India. And Communist Party India immediately wins power there, and they have the strongest support amongst the peasant and working classes. And Kerala is really sort of a success story of the Indian communist movement. Its Marxist movements are very reformist, like CPI Communist Party India is very reformist, as I mentioned. A CPI Marxist, which eventually comes to rule Kerala, is also very reformist. But since 1993, they've gotten 528,000 landless peasants land, right? So they've managed to redistribute land. They've managed to get free healthcare. They managed to get free education. They've managed to make Kerala one of the highest life expectancy states in India, lowest infant mortality states in India. It's like by every living metric, Kerala is the best state in India. So I'm going to move over to Bengal a little since it is in South Asia. It absolutely gets fucked by the British and Pakistan. There's but also Pakistan, because part of Bengal was it was sort of West Pakistan. It was when India split up in 1947. They're sort of given a Muslim state, and the Muslim state includes Pakistan and West Pakistan, and Bangladesh is that West Pakistan.
They called it
or at least
East
part
Pakistan,
of
right?
East Pakistan. You know what? I'm fucking it up. Yeah. And right, there's West Bengal and East Pakistan, and Pakistan does Operation Searchlight, which is just this horrific killing operation, mass rape, everything. Like Bengal gets fucked because they were trying to get independence. Anyways, this splits the Communist Party. All of this, interfaith violence and stuff like that. It splits the Communist Party into the left front, which manages to get 2.9 million people land back in West Bengal. Okay, so even though the Communist parties are all in chaos, they finally managed to form a left front, and they managed to get 2.9 million people land redistributed into peasants, right? So in 1991, India enters its neoliberal era. We got the CPI, Communist Party India. It's very reformist. It's very bad. We got CPI Marxist. Its stronghold is in Kerala. It's and a couple other Marxist coalitions, and it's also kind of reformist-ish. We got CPI Marxist-Leninists and CPI Maoist, which is waging a guerrilla campaign. And 1991, neoliberalism is coming in India. The Naxals, which I alluded to, they control the sort of red corridor. They came from the Naxal Bari uprising, right? So a lot of this stuff happens in Bengal, right? A lot of the left, I don't know why, but a lot of the left in India originates from Bengal. They're always giving us the best leftists. I don't know why. It's just something in the water in Bengal. Something in the water, which is mostly Indian pollution. So unfortunately, They have horrible water. It sucks. It's all downstream basically. Yeah. They come from the Naxal Bari uprising, which happens in West Bengal. Peasants need land. Peasants need rights, and shit gets dicey. They get their guns out. The Naxals are heavily inspired by Mao and the idea of people's war, and so they start waging a war against the Indian state, basically organizing peasants, giving the peasants what they want. And they set up the Red Corridor. And CPI, Marxist-Leninist, is led by this split-off group. It's founded by Charu Mahamdar, Kanu Sanyal, and Jungle Satnal.
His name Jungle?
A lot of Jungle, Jangal.
Okay, I thought you were saying Jungle. I'm like, dude, that's a dope ass name. Jungle. What's your name? Jungle. You ready to enter the forest, baby?
I mean, close enough, yeah. And they set up the People's Liberation Army. And so by 1970, the main founder, Charu Majumdar, he's killed by the government. And the People's Army gets labeled a terrorist group. The Naxals, they reached their peak power in 2000. They've sort of been on a downfall since then. The Indian state's really been cracking down on them, especially Modi, who's been doing recent operations against their control base. Their main support is the Dalits and the peasants. They provide basic government services to people who've been basically failed by the Indian government, Other than that, the other communist movements in India have been fucked by reformism, Khrushchevite revisionism, and also Gorbachev revisionism. A lot of social democrat crap. Congress Party ends up becoming completely neoliberal. Just like the labor allegory, right? It's all right. Under Nehru, Congress Party is left-wingish, populist left-wingish, but then it has sort of its Margaret Thatcher, Tony Blair sort of turn. And Congress Party ends up losing the faith of the Indian people, and the Indian people in 2014 go towards the BJP, which is this right-wing nationalist party. Its main support base is in Gujarat, which is this northern Indian state. They do a ton of sectarian violence against Muslims. Gujarat's sort of very well known. I thought Gujarat was full of Muslims. A lot of It is, but it's also known for a lot of sectarian violence against Muslims, especially from their Hindutva rulers and things like that. In fact, Modi's known as the Butcher of Gujarat. He does a fuck ton of campaigns of just cleansing and things like that.
Where do these people go? Do they end up going to Pakistan, running for their life, or?
A lot of them end up displaced. They'll go to other states. They not necessarily Pakistan, and a lot of them will stay. A lot of them end up getting, just stuck in communities. It's just not a good situation overall. Moving to different countries, obviously, yeah. But going to Pakistan is kind of hard because there's a whole beef there between the two. Even if you're Muslim.
I was going to ask, like, what is the relationship between Pakistan and then Indian Muslims? Is there still kind of like tension between Indian Muslims and Pakistani Muslims?
I can't speak for all Indian Muslims because some of them actually are nationalistic towards India, but there is a sense of like brotherly love, I would say. Sort of like these are brothers. We're on different sides of the border.
Because I know Punjab is split in half, right? Like half it's in Pakistan, half it's in India. The Pakistani side is mostly Muslim. The other side is mostly like Sikh.
Yeah. In 1947, there was the split happened. Muslim people are supposed to go to this side. Hindu and Sikh people are supposed to go to this side. Punjab's mostly Sikh and Hindu, and it's just it's complicated. It's complicated. I mean, there's definitely nationalism involved. Like Pakistani Punjabis will hate Indian Punjabis, even though like basically they're the same people. But then there's also like brotherly love. Like there's a lot of Sikh Punjabis who have gone back to their like old homeland or whatever. Cause like a lot of them are alive, right? Like a lot of them, were only kids in like 1947 and they go back and like everybody in Pakistan's like super nice and they're like, oh, welcome back, brother. So it's a complicated relationship, I would say. Sometimes nationalism gets in the way. Sometimes love wins. That's what I'll say, honestly. Ain't that just the truth about humanity in general, Yeah. In 2022, the Communist movement of India has been up, in my opinion, because in 2022, they managed to organize a strike of 250 million Indian workers.
Wow.
Which I believe is one of the biggest organized strikes in history in terms of just mass mobilization. They were striking against privatization, COVID-19 policies, railroad workers, farmers, industrial workers. They all refused to go to work. And also the BJP has been just privatizing the shit out of India's economy. So it was just a lot of protests against that. Modi has also started annexing Kashmir. The story of Kashmir is complicated. It's too much to go into in this podcast. If you want to, you can go into my podcast. We have an interview with a Kashmiri scholar. It's very similar to the West Bank.
Yeah, we can leave that link below.
Okay, yeah, I'll send it to you guys. It's very similar to the West Bank and Israel. It's sort of that kind of relationship, I would say, where it's like it's not exactly like Gaza, where it's 100% controlled by India, and India is just bombing the shit out of it. But it's like slowly but surely, Hindus are taking over and Indians are taking over.
Is it
Kashmiri
like the West Bank where there's like illegal settlements?
Yeah, exactly. Except they've been legalized now, so. A lot of land grabs have been legalized. There's a lot of just military presence. There's like, I believe like 5 Indian military members to every Kashmiri resident. Like they're outnumbered.
Wildly occupied. So. Yeah.
So in 2019, again, 2016, the Indian Communist Movement leads a strike for 180 million workers. 2019, general strikes for higher minimum wages. In 2020, the farmers protest, mostly small farmers protesting. So there's this really great quote I found about like modern day Indian politics, and it's basically it's from Prabhat Patnaik. He's a journalist, and he wrote down neoliberal globalization itself, however, has reached a dead end. A symptom of which is the mushrooming authoritarian fascist regimes in various parts of the world for the preservation of moribund neoliberal capitalism, through a combination of repression and distraction of attention towards the other as the enemy. Overcoming this conjecture is the new challenge for the Indian Communist movement this year, this century. So yeah, that's currently the state of the Indian Communist movement. The best parties, in my opinion, are CPI Marxist, which rules Kerala, though they did not have the best statement on the Indian-Pakistan war. In my opinion, they were very chauvinist towards Kashmir and Kashmiri independence. Communist Party Marxist-Leninist, Communist Party India Maoist, and then of course just the Naxal movement in general. I think those are the absolute goats right now. CPI India, Communist Party India. It's
I wonder how hard would it be to get one of the CPI Marxists from Kerala to get on the podcast to talk about it further.
I think you could do it.
I was just looking.
I think you could do it honestly.
There is in the I'm going to butcher these names, but in the Indian Parliament, I assume it's like the upper and the lower chambers of the Indian like House. There are still elected representatives from CPI in India. Although it's Lok Sabha, that's the Lok Sabha, and then the Rajya Sabha. I don't know if that's more like the parallel would be like our Congress and Senate. They have two members in each of CPI. And then in state legislatures, there's 22 total state legislative seats of CPI across all of India. So, which is, I mean, not huge compared to it's 4,131 total seats. Yeah. They have 22 out of 4,000, but it's still like, more than America, which is 0% of communist politicians.
Yeah. Yeah. I would just like to see like how they structured everything. Like how do they like actually like with in like Kerala, how do they structure their party to actually have some sort of organization?
Yeah, so that there's actually
mobilize everything.
Yeah, representation. Yeah, that'd be interesting to get into actually like the details of that, of like, well, what is a successful Communist Party election or movement look like? Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah. You guys want me to go over like famous just communists in general? Just like throw them out
Karl
there.
Marx.
Indian communists that more people should know that. Secretly,
he's a
secretly
Punjabi,
Indian,
secretly.
Yeah, like yeah. The most famous Jut, Karl Marx. People are gonna say that's casteist. Actually, I shouldn't have said Jut, but it's okay. It's okay. People will get the joke. Okay. So Bhagat Singh, Punjab's favorite boy. He was part of the Hindustan Republican Socialist Association. He's best known for killing a British police officer. He meant to kill J.P. Saunders, but he accidentally kills James Scott. He throws sort of like bombs in the British Congress when they're meeting to discuss like whether or not how independent India should be. He throws bombs. Yeah. Okay. 30s. He doesn't live to see World War II. He throws bombs in there. He injures a British ruling parliamentarian, and he gets arrested and hung. He's a big Indian hero. Everybody loves him. We got M.N. Roy. He founded the Mexican Party, the Mexican Communist Party, and the Party of Communist India. So he's he's a double whammy.
Wow.
I gotta look into this guy.
Yeah.
Is he Indian or Mexican or both or neither?
Is he British?
He's just Indian. He was just in Mexico at the time.
Interesting. M.N. Roy.
Yeah.
M.N. Roy is like M.N. Roy, or is like M.
Yeah.
Indian revolutionary and philosopher.
It sounds like a British guy.
Yeah.
He started out his career smuggling guns into India, and then he had to flee eventually. He made his way to like San Francisco, then to Mexico. He was sort of there for the Mexican Revolution, so he's got a very interesting life. He goes to Moscow to meet Lenin after the Russian Revolution.
Damn, this guy.
Him and Lenin become great pals. Yeah.
I gotta look into this.
You guys aren't going to be happy. His story doesn't end up that good, but
he gets shot
in 1929. No, he doesn't die based. In 1929, he breaks with the Comintern because he's opposed to Stalin, and he still supports India allying with the British to fight fascism. So he eventually actually ends up shooting the Indian Communist movement in the foot because nobody in India wants to ally with the British. And then 1947, after India gains independence, he gives up Marxism completely. He gives up Marxism. Yeah.
Why?
Yeah. He says that it's got too many issues, especially Stalin's variety of Marxism, and he ends up becoming a humanist socialist. So he mixes liberal ideas and socialist ideas. And he's now used by most Indian chuds as like proof that communism doesn't work. So like a lot of Indian chuds will be like, oh, M.N. Roy was the founding member of CPI and Communist Party of Mexico, and he gave that up. So obviously it doesn't work.
What about Trotsky? The USSR worked. I mean,
well, they're not listening to that kind of stuff. I don't know. Charu Mahamdar, I fucked up his name. Charu Mahamdar, he's a class trader. He's born to a landlord family. He founds the Naxal movement, and he becomes a communist immediately after India's independence. That's when he discovers communism. He writes the historic 8 documents that become foundational to the communist parties of India. He has a long history of fighting against British colonialism. And then he's killed in like a sort of like a clash with police in 1972. So he founds CPI, Marxist-Leninist. He starts the Naxal movement, and he dies sort of a legend. This one I'm really gonna fuck up. Ems Namburderpad. Ems Nan. I'm gonna send you guys the name. I'll send you guys my notes. Ems. It's a name from Kerala, basically. They're a major founder of the communist movement in Kerala. He opens up a CPI Communist Party branch there before anybody else. He switches to CPI Marxist. He becomes a chief minister of Kerala, and he's the major factor in like all the land reforms and things like that. Andhra Gandhi, she's born to the Communist Party of India in 1954. She's born to like a communist family, so she's like a red diaper baby. In college, she becomes immediately radicalized. She joins like the Communist Party Marxist-Leninist. She also helps out the Dalit Panthers. So you guys know the Black Panthers? Yeah. India had its own version of that for Dalits. So it's pretty cool what they did. In the 1990s, even though she's sick, she gets Andhra Gandhi, she is such a badass because, and I fucked up her name. Oh, by the way, but she's such a badass because she's literally gets diagnosed with like a sickness, and she spends 3 years still waging guerrilla warfare in the jungles of India. So like, you gotta hand it to her. Getting told by the doctor that you're sick, you're not gonna make it, immediately just picking up the Glock and going to the jungle.
I mean, what else? I would do that. Shit. I'm like, I'm gonna die. I might as well just go out like with a bang. Goddamn.
Yeah,
absolutely, like a boss.
She strengthens. Yeah, absolute boss. She strengthens the party ties to the women's movement. She also in 2007 she feels like the Marxist-Leninist party isn't that good, so she founds Communist Party Maoist. So that's the thing. I mean, there's so many breakaway parties; it's hard to keep track of. And Andhra Gandhi, she has the best works on Marxist feminism I think ever written. I'm a really big fan of her critiques of liberal feminism. I highly recommend you check them out if you're interested in like Marxist feminism or anything like that.
Okay.
Kanak Mukherjee, she became a communist after seeing her cousin widowed and like her cousin's like struggling to survive. She's a strong fighter for women's rights. She joins the communist study circles. She becomes Oh, okay. Which part did you lose me at?
No, I think you're good now.
I think you're good now. You can keep going. It was just like on and off for like 10 seconds.
Okay. She joins communist study circles. She founds MARS, which is the Women's Self-Defense League. Mars, she becomes a member of the Communist Party India. She becomes a founding member of Communist Party Marxist. She fights against sex trafficking. She fights to get food in Bengal during their famine. She gets elected to Indian Parliament twice. So, that's about it. I try to give a good mix of male and female communist badasses.
That's awesome. That's an awesome list.
Yeah.
It's interesting, like, we know very much, like, especially, like, studying it a little bit, is, like, the neoliberalism that kind of started, like, ramping up at least like hyperspeed in the 80s under Thatcher and Reagan, in the Western world, and then that's like caused this, like, that's basically the doorway that led to the modern rise of fascism. Was it started with that neoliberalism won in the late 80s, early 90s, right? The Soviet Union fell, neoliberalism won, and that has risen to what we now know is like that was the gateway to fascism. It's interesting to see that perspective in other parts of the world that like are not checked in on by Western leftists as much, right? Like Western leftists living in America, we know very little, by and large, of like the Indian Communist Party.
Very little.
And that quote you gave basically sums up like what we know to be true from the Western perspective, but it's just interesting that like, it's just I just like that it's, that's a universal truth regardless of where you are, that the rise of neoliberalism has also affected places like India. And
now we have Modi.
And now we have Modi, right?
Yeah.
I don't know who if there's an analog for neoliberal prime minister, would that be Indira Gandhi? I'm not sure, because she died before Reagan was elected.
No,
I don't know
sort
enough
of like
about
a Keynesianist, yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know who if there is an analog for like who was the Thatcher of India that kind of like ushered in this new era of like, because like people like Modi don't come out of nowhere, right? They don't gain power in a vacuum. They gain power because conditions are paved for them to gain power.
Absolutely.
And not always, right? Like maybe Modi is that paver, so like to somebody worse, possibly. But my guess is that there was probably some opportunistic or some populist politician that came around in the late 80s or 90s in India that kind of paved the way. But maybe not.
The one I would point towards, like right before Modi, is Manmohan Singh. He's sort of a very like big neoliberalizer. I would say he's almost like, and I hate to use that comparison, but he's almost like Indian Obama.
Yeah.
It's a stability period. There's a bunch of neoliberalism going on. It's like, it's sort of like left center stability, but like it sort of leads directly into
that directly leads to fascism. Though it may look good on paper, sure, your bottom line, the GDP may rise, but like that's kind of the opposite side to that is that you're opening the door for fascism.
Still alive, born 1932.
That guy, interesting.
Yeah, I think he's still alive. His spouse died last year, and he was prime minister from 2004 to 2014. And he was actually born in Pakistan, modern day Pakistan.
Yeah.
Because 1932
it was before the partition. Yeah. Well, I got a question for you, Poke, if you don't mind. Like, what is this is kind of on more of a personal level. Like, what is your relationship with either Indian politics or India in general? Like, do you still have family there? Do you still visit? Like, what is your personal relationship with India?
So my connection to the Indian communist movement is mostly through the Naxals. So I have an uncle. His name is Naber Dudige, and in the 60s, he was like in university. Honestly, most Indian radicals, they became radicalized in universities, which is funny because their parents send them to like university to like, I don't know, like get rich. It's like, I'm studying.
Become communist.
Doctors, lawyers. I was like, you can become back a communist. Yeah, and so he gets super into the rising like Maoist currents, especially with like the CPI splits in the 60s. He's just a badass. He's been a longtime fighter for workers' rights. He founds his own branch in Punjab. It's called the Farmers Labor Union. Well, he helps found it. He's the vice president of it right now.
That's awesome.
Yeah, he's my uncle.
Did you ever have him on your podcast?
Yeah. He doesn't speak English. Okay. And shout out to him. He had a heart attack recently, but he's recovered. He's recovered. But no, his house is super cool. I mean, I visited Punjab a bunch of times. I love visiting Punjab. And his house is like this 3-story ass house, and there's just this big ass hammer and sickle for anybody to see like 3 miles out. It's like your own little.
The CPI logo is still just it's just the traditional hammer and sickle. There's no bullshit. Like they didn't change anything. Like,
does he ever get scared with like just like blatantly having it up there?
He's been in and out of jail his whole lifetime. This one time for Naper Tudike, my uncle, they literally locked up, like, they went to his house. I don't know, the police are kind of weird, especially in the rural areas. They grabbed, like, literally every single item in his house, and they threw it with him in jail. And then they grabbed one of his cows, because, like, he owns cows. He's, like, a farmer. And they put the cow in jail with him. So he's in jail with, like, every single plate, every single thing in his house, and a cow in his jail cell. And I think they were like trying to like torture him or something, or some kind of weird thing.
Comfortable. He'd like, I have all my stuff.
No. He found it hilarious. I mean, he's getting like tortured by these guys. He's like, whatever. They're beating him, but like the cow and all his plates and everything in his house are like right
bizarre.
there. Like, it's
that's so weird.
Yeah, that's his favorite story to tell.
Well, just like you see like CPUSA and every major Western communist party, even in England or in America, they had to change the logo, right? Because there's this like stigma with the hammer and sickle. They've changed it so much that you don't immediately recognize it as a hammer and sickle. And I like that CPI is like, nope, fuck that. It's just a hammer and sickle, just straight up, no unadulterated, the original 1917 Russian hammer and sickle, or at least very similar to it.
Yeah, because like traditional like immediate post-independence India, it was very close to the Soviet Union. India, within its constitution, even has the words, "This is a socialist state." It's never really been a socialist state, but like everybody who was part of the independence movement, like Nehru, Gandhi, whatever, these guys, they were super close to all the communists. Like Che Guevara visited Nehru. They were fans of like Khrushchev, like, you know. So it's the thing. Like there's still a strong-ish remembrance of like that old sort of when India had like a strong relationship to communists past, but also there's a lot of chuddification of the population, I would say. Like, especially, there's been a rising middle class, like an urban middle class, and they're very fascist light, I would say. Like, you know, like, oh, the Soviet Union killed 100 million people and all that. I don't know, all the anti-communist bullshit.
There's a very, like, often kind of quoted parable on the left about how, like, during the I think it was the Bengal famine or one of the Indian famines, Churchill and the British refused to help, and it was Stalin who shipped in a bunch of grain. I forget the details of that, but is that culturally significant within India? Is that like referenced or even like made mention of, or is that more of a Westerner's defense of Stalin that India doesn't really take too much credence by?
Not much people know about that. A couple communist parties will talk about it a lot of times, but it's not well known in the public. Stalin's best legacy in India is probably like this southern politician whose name is J.V. Stalin, named after Stalin, but he's a liberal. So I don't know. His parents just like Stalin as like a nationalist.
What a wild story.
What? Yeah. His name is J.V. Stalin, but he's a liberal. Stalin is rolling over in his grave right now.
Well, what was the line? I'm trying to pull it up. It's like, you know, documents can wait, but hunger cannot. Is that?
Yeah. I
don't know.
Yeah. That's it's the sources are hard to tell by. I mean, the fact that the sites that I have found for that, they are from Indian Communist Party, so I tend to believe that it's true. But like, I don't know what they're referencing exactly.
Okay. I'm just curious, like what the Indian take on Stalin is, just from that specific anecdote.
The take is either like a subsection of the population that has admiration for him as like a great nationalist industrializer, or like the majority of the population, which is the common anti-communist.
Sure. Just your standard kind of view. The Western view, I guess, or academia's view of Stalin.
He killed 45 billion people.
45 trillion. 100 gajillion. With his big spoon, he ate all the wheat in Ukraine. Well, thanks so much, Poke. This was an awesome conversation, man. I think we're at an hour 45, so we probably want to wrap it here and let you go. I know I have homework to do and work to get to, but we really appreciate the conversation. Thanks so much for enlightening us with this amazing story of the Communist Party of India and all of their different subsects. Really appreciate you on, man. Where can the people find you? Where should they be following you at?
You can just search up PokePreet or not PokePreet on TikTok. That's where I mostly post. And then I also have a podcast called the PokePreet Podcast. And look out for our episode with Professor Gerald Horn, you know, the academic who rewrites history. That's going to come out soon.
And all of those links will definitely be in the description, both in our audio podcast and on YouTube. Speaking of, don't forget to follow us, Revolutionary Rhetoric Podcast, wherever you get your podcasts, both audio and on YouTube. If you're watching this on YouTube, go ahead and like, comment, share, subscribe. If you're listening to this on the audio version, give us a 5-star review, leave a little comment there, and follow us on social media, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, Revolutionary Rhetoric. We have a Discord. We have Patreon, a free Patreon, where you can find bloopers, outtakes, some extra content. All of the links will be in the description. But as always, the website to PCRF, the Palestinian Children's Relief Fund, will be the first link in the description below. Before you do anything for us, make sure you go reach out and give those folks some love. If you can, donate to the PCRF. People in Gaza still need our help. That is still not over. It's only getting worse. And now that the hunger, as we mentioned in the last episode, the hunger is going to reach kind of this apex point. Things are about to get bad in Gaza. So definitely they need your help now more than ever. Cool. Poke, Thank you so much, man. We really appreciate the conversation. Thanks for coming back on. Amazing to have you.
Yeah, of course. I had fun. See you guys.